I, 45M, never thought I'd be writing something like this. I'm using a throwaway account because some family members use Reddit. I'll be using fake names for everyone involved. This is probably going to be long, but I need to get it all out. I've been married to Sarah for 23 years. We met in college, she was studying to become a teacher, and I was getting my degree in construction management. We got married right after graduation, and everyone said we were the perfect couple. We have two wonderful kids, Jessica, 19F, and Mike, 16M. I run my own construction management company now, and Sarah teaches English at the local high school. Jessica met Tommy, 19M, during freshman orientation. He was the quiet kid sitting alone, and Jessica, being her friendly self, went up to talk to him. They instantly clicked. We soon learned about Tommy's background. His dad abandoned them when he was a baby, and his mom struggled with drug addiction. He spent most of his time either working part-time jobs or taking care of his mom when she was having bad days. Sarah was the one who first suggested that Tommy should spend more time at our house. She said no teenager should have to deal with that much responsibility. Soon, he was having dinner with us almost every night. He would help me with yard work on weekends, and Sarah would help him with his English assignments. He called us his second parents, and we truly saw him as another son. During their senior year, Tommy's mom went to rehab, and he stayed with us for 3 months. Sarah went above and beyond to make him feel welcome, decorated a room for him, bought him new clothes, helped him apply for colleges. Jessica was thrilled to have her best friend around all the time. They weren't romantic. Jessica always said Tommy was like her brother. Even after graduation, when Jessica went to college out of state, Tommy stayed local and remained a constant presence in our lives. The first signs that something was wrong started about 6 months ago. Sarah began changing her routine. She started going to the gym every morning instead of her usual evening schedule. She changed her phone password, which she'd never done in our entire marriage. She was constantly texting, always holding her phone at weird angles so I couldn't see the screen. When I asked about it, she said she was in a teachers group chat about curriculum changes. Then I noticed her behavior around Tommy changed. If he came over when Jessica was away at college, Sarah would either disappear to our bedroom or be overly friendly with him. She started dressing differently when she knew he was coming over, wearing makeup on weekends, which she never used to do. I brushed it off, thinking she was just trying to look nice because we had company. Last month, I noticed she was staying late at school more often. She said she was helping students with college applications, which made sense given it was that time of year. One night, I drove by the school at 6 p.m. to surprise her with dinner, but her car wasn't there. When she came home at 7:30, she said she'd been at school the whole time. That was the first time in 23 years that I caught her in a direct lie. Everything came crashing down last week. My laptop broke, and I needed to send some urgent work emails. Sarah was in the shower, so I used her laptop. She had forgotten to log out of her Gmail account. There was an email notification from Tommy with the subject line "Missing you already." My heart stopped. I know I shouldn't have, but I clicked it. What I found destroyed me. There were hundreds of emails going back 6 months. The early ones were innocent enough, Tommy asking for advice about college applications and family issues. But around February, the tone changed. Sarah started complimenting him more, telling him how mature he was, how she felt energized around him. Tommy began flirting back, and Sarah encouraged it. By March, they were planning meetups. They used hotels first, but then started meeting at school after hours in her classroom. The emails contained explicit details of their encounters. There were attached photos that made me physically sick, some taken in our house, in our bed, when I was at work. They had pet names for each other. They talked about their connection and how age was just a number. The worst part was how they talked about me and Jessica. Sarah complained that I was boring, that I didn't understand her like Tommy did. Tommy joked about how clueless Jessica was, saying things like if only she knew what her mom and I did while she was FaceTiming us last week. They met up multiple times when Jessica was home for spring break, sneaking around while we had family dinners. I spent hours going through everything, saving copies to my cloud drive. I found a hidden folder with more photos, dating back to Tommy's senior year. While nothing explicit happened then, the progression was clear. Sarah had been grooming him, building up to this for over a year. When I confronted Sarah last night, she immediately started crying. She didn't deny anything but tried to blame Tommy, saying he pursued her, that she was vulnerable because I worked too much. Then she switched to begging me not to tell Jessica, saying it would destroy her relationship with her best friend. When I showed her the emails where she was the one pursuing him, she broke down completely. I kicked her out. She's staying with her sister now. I haven't told the kids yet. Jessica is coming home from college this weekend for summer break, and Mike is at a school wilderness camp until Friday. I've spent the last 24 hours alternating between rage and numbness. How do I tell my daughter that her mother betrayed her in the worst possible way? How do I tell my son that his mother isn't the person we thought she was? I have an appointment with a divorce lawyer tomorrow. I've saved all the emails, photos, and hotel receipts I found. I know this will destroy our family, but Sarah and Tommy did that, not me. I just needed to get this off my chest before I have to face my kids. Their worlds are about to shatter, and I can't protect them from this pain. The worst part is that I keep thinking back to all the times I thanked Sarah for being so kind to Tommy, for treating him like a son. She watched him grow up. She helped him with homework at our kitchen table. She knew about his family issues and used them to get close to him. I don't know how someone could do this to their own family, to a kid they helped raise. I haven't slept since finding out. Every time I close my eyes, I see the photos, the emails, the lies. 23 years of marriage, gone. My kids' childhood memories, tainted. All because my wife couldn't keep her hands off a teenager who trusted her like a mother. I know I need to be strong for my kids, but right now, I'm just trying to make it through each hour without falling apart. Does anyone have advice on how to tell the kids? Should I show them the evidence, or just tell them the basics? How do I protect them from the fallout when this gets out in our community? Update 1 first, I want to thank everyone for the overwhelming support on my original post. The past 2 weeks have been a nightmare, but your advice and kind words have helped me stay strong for my kids. Telling Jessica and Mike was the hardest thing I've ever done. After my last post, I called Jessica at college and told her she needed to come home immediately, that something serious had happened. She must have heard the pain in my voice because she drove through the night to get here. Mike had just returned from his wilderness camp that morning. I sat them both down in the living room, the same room where we'd had countless family game nights with Tommy. I had prepared what to say, but the moment I saw their concerned faces, all my practiced words disappeared. I started by telling them that their mother wasn't living with us anymore, that I had found something serious. Jessica immediately asked if it was another man. When I nodded, she asked who. The moment I said Tommy, she started shaking her head in denial. I had debated whether to show them the evidence, but Jessica demanded to see it. I showed them some of the tamer emails first. Mike just sat there, completely silent, while Jessica read through them. Her hands were shaking so badly she could barely hold my laptop. When she got to the parts where they mocked her, where Tommy joked about their secret meetings during her spring break visits, she completely broke down. She started screaming how could they over and over, throwing my laptop aside and pacing the room. She tried calling Tommy right there, but it went straight to voicemail. She left message after message, each one more desperate and angry than the last. Mike finally reacted then, grabbing his sister and hugging her while she cried. He hadn't said a word yet, just held his sister. That night was chaos. Sarah kept calling and texting all of us. She showed up at the house around midnight, banging on the door and crying that she needed to explain. Jessica went downstairs and opened the door, which scared me at first. But then I heard her tell her mother, "Go be with your teenage boyfriend. You're disgusting. He's my age, Mom. My age." She slammed the door so hard a picture fell off the wall. The next day, everything got worse. Jessica's phone buzzed during breakfast. It was Tommy, finally responding. She read his message out loud to us, her voice shaking with rage. He had written this long, rambling message about how he and Sarah had connected on a deeper level, how their love was real and transcendent. He claimed he never meant to hurt Jessica, that it just happened, but that he and Sarah were meant to be together. He even had the audacity to hope they could still be friends someday. Jessica posted screenshots of his message in their friend group chat. Within hours, everyone knew. Their mutual friends were sending Jessica messages of support, sharing stories of times they'd seen Sarah and Tommy together and thought something seemed off. One friend admitted seeing them at the Hampton Inn just 3 days ago, but assumed Tommy was just helping Sarah carry teaching supplies because she'd seen them walking in with bags. The news spread through our community like wildfire. Sarah's sister called me, horrified. Apparently, Sarah had only told her it was a mistake with a younger man. She hadn't mentioned it was Tommy or that he was Jessica's best friend. When she found out the full story, she kicked Sarah out of her house. That's when things got even more twisted. Sarah moved in with Tommy and his mother. Yes, you read that right. Tommy's mom, who we'd helped get into rehab, who'd trusted us with her son, is now hosting my wife's affair. She called me yesterday to explain. She said Sarah and Tommy were both adults, that their love was beautiful, and that I should be happy Tommy finally had a real mother figure in his life. The irony of that statement made me physically ill. The school where Sarah teaches got wind of the situation. Someone, not me, reported that she had been bringing Tommy to her classroom after hours while he was still a student. Even though nothing physical supposedly happened until after graduation, the school board launched an investigation. Sarah has been suspended pending their findings. Jessica has been incredible through all of this. Despite her own pain, she stepped up to help with Mike, who still barely speaks. She's cooking meals, helping him with homework, trying to maintain some normalcy. But I hear her crying in her room at night. She had to explain to her college professors why she needs to finish her finals remotely. Imagine having to tell your teachers that your mom is sleeping with your best friend. Mike finally broke his silence yesterday. He asked me if this meant he had to see Tommy at holidays now, if Tommy was going to be his stepdad. Then he threw up. He's refusing to go to school because some kids found out and were making jokes. I'm letting him take some time off while we figure things out. Sarah keeps trying to talk to the kids. She sends long emails about how sorry she is, how she never meant for this to happen, how she still loves them. Jessica set up an email filter to send them straight to trash. Mike just deletes them without reading them. They're both in so much pain, but they're so angry they can't even process the hurt yet. I met with my lawyer again today. Given Sarah's suspension from work and the evidence of her using school property for their meetings, he thinks we have a strong case for full custody of Mike. I don't even recognize the woman I married anymore. How do you go from helping a troubled teenager with his homework to sleeping with him behind your family's back? The next few months are going to be hell as we navigate the divorce and custody arrangements. But right now, my only focus is helping my kids through this. They didn't ask for any of this, but they're paying the highest price for their mother's selfish choices. Update 2: The situation has gotten even more complicated than I could have imagined. What I thought was a single betrayal turns out to be part of a larger pattern, and the revelations keep getting worse. Sarah's sister came to see me last weekend. After kicking Sarah out, she decided to go through some of the stuff Sarah had left at her house. She found Sarah's old iPad, which was still logged into various accounts. What she discovered made her physically sick. There were messages from 2 years ago showing similar inappropriate conversations with another student, James, who graduated last year. While it seems nothing physical happened with him, the pattern of grooming was identical: compliments about maturity, offers of extra help after school, gradually becoming more personal and flirtatious. The sister showed me screenshots of everything before turning them over to the school board. In these messages, Sarah would tell James how mature he was for his age, how his girlfriend didn't deserve him, how she could teach him things other girls his age couldn't. Sound familiar? It's the exact same playbook she used with Tommy. When James graduated and went to college out of state, the messages stopped. That's when she started focusing on Tommy. The school board investigation has uncovered even more. They found emails Sarah sent to Tommy through her school account while he was still a student. Nothing explicitly sexual, but lots of subtle grooming, discussing his body after gym class, commenting on how other girls must be all over him, saying she got butterflies when he visited her classroom. She would schedule tutoring sessions with him even though he had an A in her class. They also found security camera footage of them in her classroom after hours, long before graduation. The school fired her immediately. They're debating whether to report her to the authorities, even though nothing physical happened until after Tommy graduated. Her teaching license will likely be revoked. The news has spread through the local education community, and no school will touch her now. Tommy reached out to Jessica yesterday. Not to apologize exactly, but to explain. He admitted that Sarah had been laying the groundwork since his senior year. She would find excuses to touch his arm or shoulder, tell him his muscles were developing nicely, say things like if I were 20 years younger, he said he felt special, chosen. She helped him with college applications, bought him new clothes, gave him money for gas, all while telling him he was different from other boys, more mature, more understanding. He claims they didn't kiss until a week after graduation, and nothing more happened until he turned 19. But he finally seems to be realizing that she had been grooming him for over a year. He broke down crying, telling Jessica how Sarah would compare them, saying Jessica was still a child while he was a real man. The manipulation is so obvious now that he's starting to see it. Sarah's reputation in our community is completely destroyed. Most of our friends have blocked her number. Even her own parents won't speak to her after learning the full story. She lost her job, her teaching license is under review, and she can't even go to the grocery store without people whispering and pointing. Despite all this, she and Tommy are still together, living at his mom's house. But things aren't going well. My neighbor saw them having a screaming match in the driveway last week. Apparently, Tommy wanted to go to a college party with people his own age, and Sarah freaked out, saying he was trying to abandon her after she gave up everything for him. She's becoming increasingly controlling, calling him constantly when he's at work, demanding to know where he is and who he's with. The reality of their situation seems to be hitting them both. Tommy's working as a waiter while Sarah can't find a job. They're living in his childhood bedroom at his mom's house. The forbidden love fantasy is crumbling under the weight of real-world consequences. Mike is struggling with returning to school. A teacher overheard some kids making jokes about his mom being a cougar and had to break up a fight. We're looking at other school options for next year. Jessica has thrown herself into her studies, but she's had to block most of her old friend group because they keep trying to get details about the situation. The divorce proceedings are moving forward. Sarah didn't even contest my petition for full custody of Mike. Her lawyer probably advised her that fighting it would only make things worse, given the school board investigation. I'm just trying to get this over with as quickly as possible so we can all start healing. I never thought I'd have to warn my teenage son to be careful around his own mother, but that's where we are now. The woman I married is gone, replaced by someone I don't recognize. Someone who could groom and manipulate a teenager who trusted her like a mother. Someone who could betray not just me, but her own children. Update 3: I think this will be my final update. The divorce was finalized last week. Sarah didn't contest anything, not the custody, not the asset division, nothing. Her lawyer probably advised her that fighting would only make things worse, given everything that came out about her behavior at school. I got full custody of Mike, with Sarah getting supervised visitation twice a month. She hasn't even tried to use these visits yet. Mike says he wouldn't go anyway. He's doing better now. We switched him to a private school where nobody knows about the situation, and he's joined the basketball team. He's still quiet, but I see glimpses of his old self returning. Jessica is thriving at college, surprisingly. She threw herself into her studies and made Dean's List last semester. She told me focusing on school helps her not think about everything else. She's cut off contact with most of her old friend group. Too many of them were still in touch with Tommy and would try to pass messages or updates about him and Sarah. The most dramatic development happened last week. Sarah and Tommy's relationship imploded spectacularly. Turns out Tommy met a girl at his community college, someone his own age. They started studying together, and one thing led to another. Sarah found out when she went through his phone while he was sleeping. Yes, she'd become that person. According to Tommy's mom, who still occasionally updates me, thinking she's helping, Sarah completely lost it. She threw all his clothes out into the front yard, screaming about how she gave up everything for him. The neighbors called the police when she started throwing his PlayStation and laptop after the clothes. Tommy just stood there, watching his mature girlfriend have a full meltdown like a teenager. Sarah showed up at our house that night, drunk and crying. She kept saying she'd made the biggest mistake of her life, that she'd throw away everything for a stupid kid. I didn't let her in. Mike heard her crying and just turned up his music. When she wouldn't leave, I called the police. Watching them escort my children's mother off our property was surreal. Tommy's mom called the next day to say Sarah had moved out and was staying at some cheap motel. Tommy is apparently dating the girl from his college now, and his mom admitted that she's more age appropriate. She tried to suggest that maybe Sarah and I could reconcile now that she's learned her lesson. I hung up on her. I've started dating again, very casually. Just coffee dates with a woman I met through a mutual friend. The kids know and are surprisingly supportive. Jessica said she just wants me to be happy, and Mike asked if she was at least age appropriate, which made us both laugh, even though it was kind of sad. Sarah still tries to reach out through family members. She sent me a long email about how she's in therapy now, how she understands what she did wrong, how she'll spend the rest of her life making it up to us. I didn't respond. Some things can't be fixed. Some betrayals cut too deep. She can't teach anymore. Her license was revoked after the school board investigation. She's working as a waitress now. Apparently, she's telling people she's writing a book about her experiences. Jessica says that's just typical mom, trying to make herself the main character of everyone else's tragedy. We're all healing in our own ways. Mike has his basketball, Jessica has her studies, and I have my work and my kids. We have family dinner every night when Jessica is home from college, and game nights on weekends. We're building new traditions, new memories, without Sarah. Sometimes I look at old family photos and wonder how we got here. But then I remember that Sarah made her choices. She didn't just cheat, she groomed and manipulated a teenager who trusted her, betrayed her own children, and showed no real remorse until everything fell apart. Some wounds don't heal, but you learn to live with the scars. We're doing exactly that, one day at a time.